Good morning. Hi, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business with the Think and Grow Rich personal development philosophy as espoused by Napoleon Hill. I'm excited to be here today with our Think and Grow Rich Mastermind podcast with another special guest. But before we bring our special guest on, Mr. Jason Bertram, I wanted to share with you the fact that we're talking today about persistence. What is persistence to you? I'd like to think of persistence as a constant movement toward your goal, your mission, your vision. What is it that you desire so strongly that you must persist with the spirit of excellence in order to achieve it? Well, if you don't have a desire, then this just might not work for you. But if you do have a desire and you have something that you believe in, something you really aspire to do, then persistence is the glue. I like to call it the insurance. We have insurance for our homes. We have insurance for our cars. We have insurance for our life. We even have health insurance, right? We have company insurance, liability, workers' comp, the Aflac duck insurance. If something happens to you and you're not insured and they pay you to be home. But what about the insurance required for success in your life? I call that insurance persistence. Yes, persistence is the insurance for success. And if you expect to be successful, you need to have life insurance called persistence. Well, as we persist in this podcast today, I'd like to bring on our special guest, Mr. Jason Bertram. And Jason, as we bring him on, I'll share a little bit about him and we'll let him share a little bit more about himself. But Jason Bertram is assistant superintendent at the most wonderful place to work in the world, which is MCO Construction and Services. Yes, MCO Construction. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But he's an engineer with more than 18 years of experience supervising commercial projects and lots of individuals on those projects. So let's bring Mr. Bertram on. Good morning, Jason. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Thank you. I'm feeling great. Life is good.
Yes, well, I like that picture behind you, and we'll talk about that in a little bit and where you actually are. But we're going to go to talk about the 13 principles of success as a part of this philosophy. Today, we're discussing the persistence principle, but persistence is built on a foundation starting with desire and faith and all of these other principles that really are the glue that hold the philosophy of personal development together. So if each of you would just sit tight for a moment and listen in, but while you're listening to this short video, please subscribe if you have not done so. Please comment, like, and share the show. But take a couple of minutes and contact some friends and say, listen, you must join this podcast and listen in, comment, like, and share. Invite your friends, family, and coworkers to this podcast. All right, so let's watch this video.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the MasterMind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the Wild Wild West days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right. Persistence. What is persistence to you? Well, when you think about your persistence, I often am reminded every time I read this particular principle that it is really the sustained effort that is necessary for you to induce faith. Persistence is the sustained effort which is necessary for you to induce faith. And I never thought about faith being something that could be induced. But every time I persist with the spirit of excellence, I find that my faith is strengthened. What about you? When you think about your faith and you activate your faith, how do you do that? Think about how you sit down every day in a chair and you never stop to think about whether or not that chair is going to hold you up. Your desire is to comfortably sit. That's your desire. But once you sit over and over and over again, you think absolutely nothing about falling. Well, as you persist toward any goal, and you continue with that persistence over and over and over again, your faith, like a muscle, tends to get stronger and stronger and stronger in that desire and knowing without question that it will happen for you. So when you are persistent, what does it look like? Is there a desire that's holding you and pulling you toward the achievement of it? Your willpower, and that willpower that it should be mixed with that desire, mixed with a mastermind group of accountability. There's nothing that can stop you. When you think about all of the people that have been mentioned in the book, whether it's the Ford or the Carnegies or Rockefellers, you name them, they all had the level of persistence that was required to achieve their goal. Well, we're going to bring back our special guest and we're going to talk about how does the persistence principle work in his life and what are some examples of how he has used that persistence over and over and over and over again to continue to persist with the spirit of excellence. So, Jason, welcome back. Let's start by having you share with our audience a little bit about who are you and how did you get here, and here being a place in your life, in your career, where you are persisting with a spirit of excellence. So, where did it all start for you in terms of your early beginnings?
Again, just thank you for having me and for just being able to take in all these things. It's been a great ride. I started, um, grew up in upstate New York, Rochester, and moved to Pittsburgh to go to school. So grew up in Rochester, New York, went to Pittsburgh and got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. From there, didn't take the traditional route, like taking my EIT or going straight to becoming a quote unquote engineer. I actually started with Sunoco, um, which is very much like a Wawa is down here, except up north, and started in gas station and convenience store design. Was a project engineer for a couple years there, um, doing design work, building their convenience stores, C stores, and then moved down here to Florida and worked for a company during the construction boom. Everything was great. Um, Again, had a chance to work as an engineer, doing form design. Just everything was great. And then, of course, everyone knows like around 2009, 2008, the bottom fell out. And at that time, had to re, I had to find myself again, and start over. So that is where it lies, my journey to where I am now. Um, did a bunch of different odd things. I got my journeyman's license during that time and worked for a couple of different places, not really feeling fulfilled. Um, the persistence was there to continue to keep going because now through this time, I began my family, started to have children, and again, um, having to still continue that drive to provide for everyone, but still not being myself fulfilled. And um, again, it wasn't until things really the bottom fell out of everything before those principles started to come to me, where I started to see them in other places, the things that I needed to do in order to conquer those things that had me down, and in order for me to get to where I am now, which is getting that desire, mixing that desire with faith, being surrounded and surrounding myself with those people again that do hold you accountable. So you have to continue to put the work in, but really having that faith and that belief, and as things start to happen good and you start to achieve those goals, your belief and your faith, you become emboldened, and it one positive experience builds upon another, builds upon another. So that faith that you were talking about at the beginning, again, I look at it as that belief. I use the word belief because as those things start to happen for you, you start to believe in it more. It just drives you more and more. And that is what's brought me here to this point, because there is nothing that anyone can tell me that if you don't have that desire, if you don't have that drive, if you have that belief, you can get it. That's the bottom line. You can get it, you can achieve it. So, that's in a nutshell, the very condensed version of my beginnings to get in here.
All right. So, of course, I'd like to ask everyone, what was your first introduction to this book? How did that come about?
My first introduction was through you. Again, I'm eternally grateful and thankful. I know was by divine design. It was one of the conditions, actually, of employment, and one of the best things I think uh, could happen to a person, that you you actually made it a requirement in my first 90 days, finish the book. And I've never had someone that made it a point to let you know that you becoming a better person, a better version of yourself is a requirement to your employment. And that's just, as a practice, just one of the most amazing things. And when you brought that into my life and I started to look at it, all I could do was share it with everyone. I had to share it with everyone else, and it has just again brought so much change and success, um, in my life right now. I mean, I can't even pack it into this hour-long show just how much my life has changed as a result of the book. But definitely, I give the credit to you, Miss Ann, for steering me towards that road.
I'm laughing because I am Wyman Wimbush is on here. We had a conversation about me sometime being too humble, and so I'm going to call this today the Ann McNeil Show. So Wyman, thank you for listening in, and thank you for your comments. And he says, persistence produces results, and results increase our faith in the relationship between persistence and the results. Thank you so much for that. And we also want to thank Doretha and Monica Long, Angela Buckley, and all of the people who are listening in. I want to encourage each of you, please connect with others and ask them to join us. Uh, I am humbled, yes, Jason, by the words you're sharing, and yes, for the public, Jason and I do work together, and like he said, I do require every employee to read this book. Now, some people do, some people don't. It is a requirement of employment, and then every Monday at 7 a.m. We have a meeting, yes, on a platform where we actually give our aha moments from whatever we've read. And I think it's very interesting that the people who do read grow, hmm, and the people who don't, well, you can figure that out. So, what does that say to each of us about the people that we work with and even with ourselves? Because I do believe that the speed of the leader is the speed of the group, and it requires me, yes, as tough as it is, it requires me to persist in really kind of staying on people, but not too hard to where it's a burden. But I do believe that if you know, when you own and run an organization, the weakest link in your chain is the one that will slow you down. And oftentimes they may not see it, they may not know it, they may not recognize it. And sometimes with a little nudging and urging and encouragement, uh, the link may strengthen. And then if it does not, this might not be the place for them. I many years ago I was, a little bit more lenient in that, and I did not persist, and it tended to slow me down and slow the company down when I had too many people that had their own thoughts about, you know, their vision about what it is that we do. But personal growth and development is the backbone of this philosophy. And as you persist towards your own goals, you can see how the goals of others connect or don't connect to what you're doing. And so I want to continue to ask all of you, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will bring them up, because when you persist until you succeed with a spirit of excellence, nothing is impossible. I mean, you can do any and all things. It may not happen as quickly as you desire, but give it time and trust me, it will act. And going back to what Jason said about his experience working with us, uh, I call our meetings that we hold on a Monday actually a mastermind group. And the Napoleon Hill says that when you select your mastermind group, select those individuals with care. And when you do that, there's going to always be at least one person in that group who is persistent and will persistently hold you accountable. And if each of you think back to any groups that you're in, whether it's at work or church or any kind of civic organization, there's usually one person in that group, and you don't usually call it a mastermind group, but if you do, there's usually one that is holding the group accountable, or at least holding you accountable. And when you talk about riches and people who have great fortunes, it is necessary. It is so necessary that we develop the principle of persistence. So, coming back to Jason, can you share with us at least one example, maybe even growing up, where you were required to use persistence and you didn't know that's what it was called, but you just found that you had to, and it might, for the mere fact that you have a degree in as an engineer, I don't think they gave you that degree. What do you think?
Oh, you're definitely right about that. That was a scratch and claw thing, especially in school, the atmosphere, the people, sometimes that you gravitate around or gravitate around you. Um, Again, all these principles, I wish I knew them and had them way back then, because it would have probably made those scratch and claw moments uh, a little bit easier and more palatable. But again, you live and you learn. But as an example of having to use persistence, I mean, everything just applies to the here and now. Not sure if you know this, said, but this second time around was when I actually succeeded with MCO. The first time I interviewed, I didn't get the position. And, I just looked at it as it wasn't my time yet. And then the second time around, I went on the job postings and I saw MCO again. And I said, okay, this is the time. And then went through the process again. And lo and behold, I'm here in Riviera Beach. So, you know, it's being persistent and knowing what you want, and when it's right, you will be guided to where you need to be. So I know this was no accident. And I know that it all led to this moment being on your podcast today talking about persistence. Because if I would have gave up on the first no, I wouldn't be here. So again, it's the Ann McNeil show, and all roads led here. You gave me the keys, and I'm just running with them.
I'm laughing, and of course, if those who are listening in on the podcast and you're not on YouTube and you can't see me laughing, it is literally because when he shared that story, and I asked the question of whether or not they gave him that degree. Obviously, they did not give it to you, and I'm laughing at myself because I'm reminded that when I took the general, when I sat for the general contractors exam, the first time I just, I just knew I wanted to go into construction, and I just took the test, right? No experience in construction whatsoever, and failed terribly. Then I decided to get serious, but at the same time continuing to persist, if you will, in the creation of the business. And I failed again a second time, and then I failed again. And each time, the points got lower and lower and lower in terms of the number that I had wrong. Now we're talking about persistence today, and I really want to encourage each of you, as you think about what is it in your life and in your business that you need that persistence. And because I had a mastermind group of accountability, they kept after me every single Saturday, and I kept taking the test when it was offered. Well, I failed that test 6 times, and I'm constantly reminded by stories like yours, Jason, and stories in this book of people who quit, 6 feet from goal, or they quit because the naysayers wore them down, or they quit because they had low self confidence and they just did not think that they could do it. Well, finally, I passed that exam by 1 point. Does it matter if it was 1 point or, you know, 10 or 20 or 30? No, it doesn't matter. And so when you begin to persist, and Jason, I'll have you come back on and share with us, what does it look like on a daily basis, and just having to do it again and again and again. And I'm reminded, we talked before the podcast started about the fact that we do hold a Monday call as a mastermind group at work. We host a Monday follow up call with all of our team members, and we're all required, yes, we're required to share what we're reading. So can you share with us your experience with that, and if it has made a difference?
I can say it definitely has, because one of the things that it brings to you is, um, number one, discipline. You have to be ready for that Monday call. So one of the things that it's going to foster is discipline, and then the next thing is you have to have start to develop some consistency as well in the way you conduct yourself daily and the way you conduct yourself weekly, so that you can be ready. So those Monday meetings is one of the best things, in that it brings to you first just one way of starting to organize your life. If you've always been the type of person that just fly by night type of person, or you don't do anything consistently, that's just one avenue that you can use, and just build upon that success. Because I'll be perfectly honest, I was that guy that was just, a lot of times very random, do things this way one day, do things this way the next. And then I learned that I had to buckle down and start to really organize how I do things and make time, because you have to make time for those things. And those Monday calls just really, it let me know, hey, after that call is over, I have to organize my time to make sure I am ready for next week's Monday call. I want to make sure that I read enough and understand what I'm reading, so that when that Monday call comes, I'm ready. And then I know that, again, if it's just one person that's on there, that I make sure I feel that expectation, It drives me to make sure I do it. And I know that, um, from looking at it, I know, Miss Ann, I know you're a stickler for it, and I know you want us to do it and to share it with everyone. So if it's not for everyone, I know that I've accomplished that for you. So that's a lot of the thing that drives what I do for those Monday calls.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you saying for me, but I listen to you every Monday, and I see that Yolanda's on also. Good morning, Yolanda, from Work Phillips, and she's listening in. But Jason, when you share, you go into great details about the impact that the principal is having on you, and I remember once you shared about, oh, now I have a better understanding about why maybe my business did not work. Can you
Mm.
share a little bit about your thoughts about that? Because I think that there's certain people that will not hear my voice. There's certain people that will not hear Galen or Dr. Peter James or any of us, and they'll only hear your voice in terms of your experience with this philosophy as you continue to persist. And you did finish the book in record time, but can you share at least, what was that you read or happened that made you realize, wow, now I have a better understanding about my own business? And by the way, for those of you who are listening, Jason and I do work together, and I encourage every employee to own your own business, because by owning your own business, you have a greater appreciation for our business at MCO Construction or Constructive Speaking or MCO Consulting or any of the businesses that we own, because it's not until you walk in these shoes do you really understand the reason why we persist, the reason why we make those sales calls, the reason why we follow up with clients and go to conferences and all of the things that's required. Regardless of the type of business that you're in, you must persist in your desire to succeed, not just to succeed, but that desire must be so strong and pulling you towards something that is specific, that is quantifiable, that is measurable, like money. Okay. If you're not working, and even if you're working a not for profit, you need money to make payroll. You need money to do the things that a not for profit will do. And so, Jason, can you share with us, what were some of those things that you read from the book that helped you to understand, wow, I wish I knew this then? Can you give us a couple of examples?
Sure, sure. I know just one of the things again, and it's just it's not a coincidence, that just the show today just really ties together a lot of those things. It was um, the lack of persistence. It was, you know when when you get knocked down a couple of times, it's not giving up. And I found that, sometimes when you are in business, for yourself, um, sometimes you don't get those jobs that you're, especially in the catering business. You go after some of those jobs, and sometimes you get turned down, and you start to question, some of those things that you put into practice, um, be it your pricing, your, whatever structure it is that you're using. And some of the times earlier, myself, I questioned some of those things, and it made me, kind of fall back and compromise those things that now have propelled us back into a place where we're succeeding again, and actually, building the business back up and getting business again. So some of it was those things like persistence, and that, um, being having that clarity and that definiteness of purpose, and the way to go about it, and the steps to take, the specific steps you have to take driving everything forward successfully. You can't, again, you can't do things in a random nature. Just let me tweak it over here, tweak it over there. Let me do a little bit of this over here, a little bit of that over there. You have to have the organized plan, and you have to have things set in place in order to resurrect and rebuild. And again, I found myself, without getting that discipline that's in the book, everything kind of falling apart and running away from me. So, but now, again, just big, brighter things ahead for the business. There's I was able to get with a group of people, to get with and surround myself with those people that put in me now the burning desire to be successful, to that mastermind principle, as you were talking about, that holds you accountable, that gives you those ideas, that gives you that little extra push when you need it. So again, just taking those principles that were laid out very clearly, can turn things around for you. I'm just looking ahead now to getting a topping out party for a large amount of people. So, again, it started to just come and come at us. And again, I just am thankful that I was able to receive those things.
Now I know you also have a business partner, and you've shared a couple of times as you were reading why you smile, you're really smiling now, right? Because again, I think you introduced this concept and this principle to your business partner. We have a lot of people listening in that have family members and friends that don't get it. And I think one of the best ways to get it understanding the principles and how the principles will impact your personal and business life. Can you share, or will you share with us what that interaction was like in this process of persisting with that member to consider delving into this book and these principles?
Well, my business partner, she's also my best friend. Um, she's one of the biggest people in my mastermind circle, because um, she pushes me to be the best that I can be. So again, in those down times when I had lost my way, if you will, and was being persistent as far as being just a provider in the home, she drove me to be better and to be more and to identify those things those places where I was lacking. And it's funny, by default, um, when you have a certain type of woman that's in your life, by default, they can pick up a lot of those things. There's a lot of those principles that were actually in the book that, um, she didn't know them specific to Think and Grow Rich, but again, she could just identify those things that were going on in my life. And so as I read the book, it was only natural to share those things and make it more formal, and to say, hey, you know what? Look at this. Man, look at how these things have been going in the business. Okay, let's apply this principle. Let's apply that principle. And the irony is a little a little confession. The actual copy of Think and Grow Rich that you sent to me, she has that one, and I have this one that I bought. So that's the reason why I don't have that other copy, is because
Uh,
she has that one copy that you sent to me, and I have this other copy. So her assignment is to read the book as well, and to go through those principles, and not just me explaining and talking to her about it, which I love to do, but it's for her to also go ahead and read those principles and apply them to the business as well. So it's given both of us individually a big boost, but together as a unit, a even bigger boost now on just believing in the business, believing even more in each of our contributions um, to it. I think back now on something that you said, Miss Ed, at the there was a event down here at Riviera Beach right around when the project was kicking off, when everybody came down and you were talking about Mr. Brown and his wife. And even though you said he was the head, that she was the neck that turned everything, and it's funny just thinking back on all of that, just having the book and being able to work together in that fashion has just even more solidified that statement you made back then. So just one of those aha moments for me that I just had thinking about it.
So let's share with everybody the comment that he's sharing. What I said was that Mr. Brown from Brown Electric, as the owner of the business and the head of his family, that he was the head, but Mrs. Brown is the neck that turns the head. And so, if all of you who are listening and you have a significant other in your life, you know what I mean, because the man is the head. But oftentimes, we as women, we're the neck that turns that head. And sometimes, we may get confused, but we're often reminded in these principles that first things and first people are first and families first. And I find that this principle of persistence continues to bring us back to really what's most important. Who's most important? Why? Why? And so oftentimes we aspire to run after the money, but the money for what reason? Oh, to have a better quality of life. With who? Oh, our family and our friends. Well, why don't we turn that around? How then do we have a better quality of life together as we grow together? But how do we know how to do that? We have one book over here, which sometimes people call it the Quran or the Bible, whatever you want to call it. And then how do you actually apply these principles? Well, I contend that this book, that book right there, yes, that's it, that this book is one of the books that help us understand how to intentionally and congruently merge the two and live the principles for a better quality of life with the people that we love. I want to take a moment and talk about the people that we love. We host an annual meeting called the International MasterMind Association Annual Meeting for Your Life. This is not a conference. It is an annual meeting for your life. And in 2023, we are hosting that meeting on January 6th and 7th, 2023 in Boca Raton, Florida, at the Embassy Suites on Yamata Road. You can go to internationalmasterminders.com and internationalmasterminders.com and register. If we can put the JPEG up again, just make sure that Ann McNeil is saying that right. And yes, and the link to register, if we can add that link to the chat so people can definitely go and register. It is approaching quickly, but the idea is that you will bring your life in writing. You will bring your family and friends or coworkers. And of course, we've been doing this now for 10, 12, 13, maybe about 15 years plus. And every year, we each come with our goals in writing. And if for any reason you don't have your goals written, we send you a survey. Once you register, we send you a survey. And that survey will help you to just think through some questions that you maybe had not thought about in 10 areas of your life, from your spiritual, your family, your financial, your health, your educational area, your personal development, and any business or career that you have, your recreation, your creativity, and your civic area. We encourage you to write goals for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And for some of us, we've been doing this for over 40 years. Yes, doesn't seem like it was just yesterday. But in addition to that, we also are hosting once a month what's called a beta test. International Mastermind Association beta test. And this is where we come and we walk through the good, the bad, and the ugly of masterminding. There's really no place I have found where I can go and just talk about the best practices. How do you start a group? Who should be in your mastermind group? Where is the agenda? What should we discuss? Should we have some kind of agreement with each other? Should I charge? Should it be free? All of these things. What do you do when you have people that shouldn't be in the group? How do you get them out? What do you do with people who are not held accountable? How do you hold them accountable? So a lot of these things we discuss. And actually last month was one of the best meetings we had as we talked about family masterminding. And there were many people on there that talked about exactly what Jason just said. How do you mastermind with your family? It just may be two of you, or it may be 5 or 10 of you. How do you mastermind with your family? I'm experiencing right now this weekend a family reunion. And literally, it is so amazing that 20, 30, 40 years ago, I grew up with people that now 20, 30, 40 years later, I'm struggling to even recognize. And I'm thinking back to myself and I'm convicted. Yes, I'm going to publicly say I am. This is me, Jason. This is just family. I'm convicted that I share this concept with the world, these principles with the world. But there were so many children, I mean, 200 or 300 people last night as we got together, that I'm thinking, wow, I've not shared this concept with them. And so that's a part of my new vision and goal for the personal area of my life. But for each of you that's listening in, what about your family? Are you sharing these principles with your family? I share with my immediate family, but our extended family, those relatives that go 10 deep in some cases, I found out last night, right? That we're not reaching down and pull up, but we can talk to the world and we can speak to the world. So yes, I'm convicted. I'll say that. And then finally, we're going to have Jason come back. We're going to start wrapping up. But there are so many, many, many special things that we do as a part of this philosophy. We really want to encourage you. Please go to internationalmasterminders.com and register for the many activities we host. We also host a Friday free accountability call at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. I know it's a little early if you live on the West Coast, but for those of you that are interested, join us. You get 1 minute to come on and share your aha moment from the reading. And Jason, now you've been on a few times, I think. You can, here it is. You can go to Eventbrite, or you can go to our website again, and it's called Think and Grow Rich Accountability Call. Think and Grow Rich Accountability Call. It's every Friday. And we're on and off in about 15 minutes because each person get only 1 minute to share what you're reading, your aha from your reading, and one business goal you want us to hold you accountable for. Yes, one business goal. And it's amazing. And I'll talk about Beverly Beard this week. For weeks and weeks and weeks, she's been talking about, getting a certification. And every week she's waiting on a document. She's waiting. And finally, yesterday, we all gave her snaps and claps because she finally got that document, got it in, and she's securing that certification. So this is another accountability uh, area that we can participate in. And I want to thank you, Susan Linder. I see you're listening in. And I checked with her yesterday, and we're going to, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will have the Black NSA $1 Million Mastermind leaders on, talking about joining us as a part of the National Speakers Association Mastermind group. Is called Black NSA $1 Million Mastermind. And you can Google it and you can join us. The registration, while we have lots of people that have registered, but we will take, yes, we'll still take you. Just bear with us, but we will still take you in. It is a phenomenal opportunity to grow, whether you're a speaker or entrepreneur, coach. Where are you held accountable that allows you to be persistent? Because Napoleon Hill tells us that if you have any goals, who's holding you accountable? And he even goes if he goes as far in the book to say that in order to have your goals achieved, you must have an accountability group. Never thought about that, because all the point of all achievement, even though it starts with a desire, if your desire is not strong enough, your mastermind group can hold you strongly accountable. And he says, if you are weak in your persistence, that's what he said, then center your attention basically on the mastermind group of accountability, because the corporation of the effort of the individuals in that group will definitely help support you. I want to continue to thank all of our all of you that are joining in on all of the social media, uh, continuing to chime in. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat and we will definitely share them here. Actually, let me share this one from Wyman. He says the best way to enable family members to get, and Wyman, you're another excellent example, because I do know that you and your wife do mastermind together. He says the best way to enable your family members to get it is allowing them to see us active as desires in our desires, using the Thinking Grow Rich principles. Be intentional about highlighting the link between your achievement and the Think and Grow Rich philosophy. Be intentional. Be intentional. Thank you so much for that, Wyman. And then we have another comment by Doretha Dennis. And Doretha, you are just such a trooper. Thank you. She was sharing this with you, Jason. She said that your partner is special, a very special person, and she recognizes your ability and continues to hold you accountable. And that is what this philosophy is about. I cannot say enough about the power of persistence. But if we don't understand, just continue to read and continue to just come here and share. Please, if you have not subscribed to this YouTube, please go to YouTube and subscribe to this channel. And if you have not, we're going to ask you right now to put in the chat, I am subscribing right now. Even if you're listening to this in the future, subscribe now, and then just put it in the chat. I have subscribed. So let's bring Jason back on. And as we prepare to wrap up, Jason, any thoughts, comments, or closing words you'd like to share with our audience? Thank you, Angelina. She said a life plan and being held accountable is key. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you also, Angelina, for hosting our Friday call, you and Beverly and Diane. And thank you, Diane, also for listening in. We want to really give kudos to all of you. Every single week, you continue to come back. And if any of you are interested in participating in this podcast, text me. You can, my number, I don't have a problem sharing my number, 786 546 0184, 786 546 0184. Text me and say, I'm interested in being on the podcast, and give me your contact information, and we will gladly bring you on. So, Jason, thank you for coming on today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any closing comments or anything you'd like to share? Any projects that you're on that you'd like to have us, support you in?
Again, there's so much. One thing that I definitely want to share with everyone, and I shared with my sons and my two little girls, is you become what you think. You become what you think. Just to continually put positive thoughts into yourself, continue to put the best of everything into yourself. Just flood yourself all the time with the goodness, and you will see your life change. I try to share with them as much as possible of the things that I'm going through, and even the changes that they get a chance to see their dad make. They're very observant, um, and they talk, and they've been able to come and see a lot of those changes, and I just try to instill in them, and I even show them the book. I say, I read all the time now. You guys should pick up these things. I finished the book and I put it on the bookshelf at home for them to be able to pick it up and look at it as well. Um, and I tell them all the time, it's reading is fundamental, um, and you will find a lot in life will open up to you. Those same think and grow rich principles, the auto suggestion, putting things into your subconscious. Just watch the way it manifests itself physically. Um, an abundant life is there. It'll come to you. I mean, I'm living it. I'm walking it right now. And again, like you said, it's in those small things that when you see them, all they do is strengthen your faith. It's a little more fuel for the desire. Your desires will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and your faith will get stronger and stronger and stronger. And you'll have no choice but to put those positive things into yourself. So that's all I can tell anyone is just um, I believe it was Bruno Mars. Don't believe me, just watch. it's it'll come to you. So right now, one of the projects I'm on, just really quickly, if you see behind me, I'll just back up a little bit. New firehouse that they're building over in Riviera Beach. It's just been a honor and pleasure to work on this project. It's pretty high profile out here. Something very new for the city as I'm learning more and more about the city to be able to bring something so big and amazing to a major corner over here at what is it, Congress and Blue Heron Road. It's a major intersection, and when people drive by it, they see it. And I'm proud to wear my MCO shirt out here and to tell people about. Again, it's another plug about Miss Ann McNeil, the first. She was a trailblazer as far as being um, a black woman general contractor. So she's out here eating up the people that think they're big dogs. And again, I'm proud to be part of that organization. So, we can represent out here in a industry that's not dominated by us. As far as black businesses, black construction, a nice black construction firm, and it's an honor to be out here and to represent for that. So that's just some of the things I'm doing. Still working on the catering business. It's funny. Part of that has led to hopefully at the topping out party you'll see Simply Fabulous representing out there too. So that's in the workings. So it's just a beautiful thing. That's all I can say. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Aw. All right, Wyman is in my spirit and in the back of my mind saying, okay, Ann McNeil, thank you so very much, Jason. And I have to say, to God be the glory for all things, because Riviera Beach is my home, born and raised there, and left for 40 years plus. And to have the honor and privilege of coming back and building one of the most prestigious projects in the city's history. I did the same thing in the city of West Palm Beach by building a police station in the 90s, and now in my hometown of Riviera Beach to build this first fire station, and prayerfully the first out of many that we will be building. And what's so interesting, talking about persistence, what's so interesting about this is, for me, is that I'm doing this to bring up and pull up people from the community that look like us, that ordinarily would never have an opportunity or a chance to work on projects like this of this magnitude. And so we have individuals that are currently on the project, like Jason and many others, in different areas and stages. We were talking earlier this morning about even the people that's cleaning, and landscaping. And our landscaper has a program. Actually, he's an African American male, where he is hiring returning citizens to the community on this project. So the project is iconic. We also have interns and students that we're giving scholarships to. And so I could go on and on. I'm thankful also to our partner, Kaufman Lynn. But I'm really going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, because one of the programs that I have, and I'm going to share here, I do what I call Niche to Be Rich, which is a 1-day retreat. But in addition to that, I do a 3-day. But I'm going to close this podcast today by sharing a little bit about the additional programs that we have that we'd like to share, because so many people listen into this podcast and would like to have more and do more and don't know how and where to connect. So listen into this final video, but also remember to subscribe and to comment, like, and share this show. So very important. Subscribe to the podcast. Join our Think and Grow Rich Facebook group. It's called International Mastermind Association Think and Grow Rich Facebook group. And as you do that, comment, share your thoughts. We also want to thank you, Jason, for chiming in today. And I wrote some notes from the podcast this morning. One of the things that you said that I thought was so amazing, and that is, you become what you think about. And oftentimes we don't think about that. And I like to challenge people: get a certain time of day that you actually think. What time of day do you think? Write it down. And you also talked about putting things in your subconscious, and that is so powerful. And that's what persistence comes, because we can put things in our subconscious for a moment, but then are you really putting it in there every day, all day, every day, consistently and persistently? But let's go ahead and wrap up. We're going to play this video from our retreat, and the desire here is to encourage you to invest in yourself and your own personal growth and development toward your desires. So listen in. My why really is the fact that you really can think and grow rich with a spirit of excellence, in the spirit of service to God. I came from absolutely nothing. So there's no excuse about why I cannot help literally millions of people, but I have to start with one, and that one is myself.
Miss Anne, such a gift. The way that you have curated this space for people to be safe, to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, to be encouraged, to be lifted up in a way that allows them to see beyond what they may have ever even dreamt to be possible, is special. It's a blessing, it's a gift, and it's transformative.
Thank you for opening my eyes to what it is I need to do, how to do what I need to do, and sharing your life experiences so that I don't make the mistakes.
To surround yourself with individuals that see something in you that you can't see, because once they see that, then they will keep bugging you because they know better is in there. And that's what she has done for me. She saw my better when I couldn't even see it.
All right. Thank you so very much, everybody, for chiming in with us for this particular episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. Join us next week for our special guest, and of course, for another awesome opportunity to talk about persistence and how do you persist with the spirit of excellence until you succeed. Again, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business, and in every area of your life with these principles espoused by Napoleon Hill. Namaste, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.